Herzlich willkommen zurück zu unserer großen, fantastischen Bühne hier auf der gamescom, aka Gamescom. Und wir haben einen ganz besonderen Titel jetzt, nämlich du, Simon, und ich. Und wir haben noch Melissa MacCoubrey da. Die ist Narrative Director bei Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Aber bevor wir einige Fragen stellen, gucken wir, würde ich sagen, direkt mal in den Trailer, um zu gucken, was ist Assassin's Creed Odyssey überhaupt? Wie geht's da jetzt weiter mit dieser Reihe? Also guckt euch das an.
Die griechische Welt birgt viele Gefahren. Ein Land, geformt von den Göttern, wird von innen heraus erschüttert. Das Gefüge unserer Gesellschaft trieft vor Blut und der Hades füllt sich.
Ich bin bereit.
Nicht hierfür. Eine Welt voller Gefahren liegt vor dir. Die Armeen sammeln sich auf den Schlachtfeldern. Stürme toben auf feindlichen Gewässern. Und Dämonen lauern in der Dunkelheit. Wenn du scheiterst, ist Griechenland verloren. Bist du wirklich bereit?
Die Zeit der Helden ist vorüber.
Abwarten.
What a trailer!
Impressive.
Really?
Yeah.
You had a good Sparta kick there.
Yeah, you had to do. You had to do.
Have you
right?
been practicing?
Yeah, a bit.
Melissa,
Not as much as I used
thanks
to.
for joining us. It's
Thank
great that
you
you're
for
here.
having me. It's very nice to be here.
You're a narrative director, so
Yes.
what are your tasks in creating Assassin's Creed Odyssey?
So I work very closely with the game director and the creative director to establish the overall story that you're going to see in the game, like the hero's journey, and how narrative is going to impact the game as a whole, what our relationships are with the different systems, and then I run a team of writers that help bring that to life, and it's a really fun job.
So did the story grow bigger than in the previous games? Did
yeah.
it branch out
Yeah,
more
so
than it used to?
we incorporated player choice for the first time in so many aspects of this game, and obviously I'm very biased being the narrative director, but it impacted our team a lot. So by incorporating choice, we had to develop the tech to be able to have conversations with characters, and that's very exciting for us because we've always wanted to have a conversation with history, and now we actually can. So.
Yeah, it already felt like traveling, time traveling back in history, but no, you gave it more life than before.
And now you get to see other facets of characters that you may not have seen before because you get to ask them questions and question their relevance. And so in that respect, yes, the game has to be bigger because you have to make way for more stories to be told and at more angles. But that's just a little bit of it. Of course, when choice is involved, you also have to expand on the way the game is played, the systems that we've created for it, and the world itself. So it's a big game.
I'm sorry, but you have some material. Maybe
yeah, sure.
while
let's
we talk,
show the B-roll.
we can look at the game because it looks awesome.
Have you already worked on Assassin's Creed Origins 2, or is it your...
Well, I've worked on Assassin's Creed, I've worked on Syndicate, Freedom Cry, and a little bit on Black Flag when I was an intern, but this is my first time as narrative director, and yeah.
Assassin's Creed had a break to Assassin's Creed Origins. There was 1 year without an Assassin's Creed, and then they overthink the formula. So why did you decide to bring back Assassin's Creed more as an RPG?
Well, we had, the Quebec studio really wanted to integrate choice into Assassin's Creed. We thought it was the right choice. We thought, too, with the time period that we were in, that these things would really go hand in hand. So bringing RPG really felt natural to us because Origins had already taken that step towards creating quests, pushing player progression, but for us it wasn't just about player progression, it was also about taking on a role and having input in the role that you're actually playing.
how hard is it to tell a story in a series that has grown so big over decades? I don't think, like 13 parts, maybe 12 parts. How do you fit a story in that?
Well, it's funny because I get asked this question a lot, but it's actually not very hard to tell a story because when you look at all of the different parts of history that we've explored, everyone has so many stories to tell. You know, we told as many stories as we possibly could in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but there's way more beyond that.
But are you bound to some kind of story arc that goes beyond your game?
I mean, the one thing that we have to keep in mind is the pillars that make up the franchise itself. So the fact that it's tied to the conflict between the Assassins and the Templars, the first civilization, and the fact that we're hitting on history. So
and
there is a big lore.
Jumping in hay
Yeah,
would
and,
be one of them.
yeah, and
I'm sorry.
There's jumping in piles here. There's not always
Piles of what?
hay. Well, sometimes flowers, sometimes
Flowers
bushes.
is good.
We tried to vary it up. But yes, you are right. There is a big lore that we have to keep in mind as we continue to open more doors and make more opportunities for ourselves.
Finally, Cassandra in Assassin's Creed Odyssey is the first female character. The first female character in Assassin's
That you can
Creed.
play for the entire experience.
Yeah, right. So what makes the difference in creating a story based on a female character like Cassandra?
Well, really what mattered most to us is that if we were going to make a game about choice and player choice, that it seemed like a bad idea to not give the player choice in who they wanted to play. So to us, this was a really natural thing to do. Now, when you look at Alexios and Cassandra, they are the same character, and it really depends on the choices you make as a player that define your experience.
But you can also have some kind of relationship now in the game.
Yes.
That's new, right?
Yep.
So
Well,
were you
it's
influenced
new
by
in that
games?
you have choice, yeah.
Yeah, but were you influenced by games like The Witcher or anything? Who did that?
Well, for me, it was always a really scary thing to incorporate like choice-based romance. But you know, as it's a part of life, we were like, okay, how are we going to tackle this? So it made sense for us to be able to have relationships with people that you could meet, both platonic and romantic relationships with people that you could meet around the world and have them play out differently instead of having a forced romance because, again, we were so based on choice that it didn't seem right to force one path.
Yeah, okay. Good answer.
For me, the most interesting new part is the wanted system.
Yes,
you have
the
a wanted
bounty
system,
system,
like
yeah.
like in the GTA style, or I don't know. How is this new feature?
So basically we looked at how people were governed at that time because there's not a lot of laws in place. So we know that people relied on their cousins and their neighbors to help defend them and bring justice in this world. So what we thought, because we knew that there were mercenaries that were in the Peloponnesian War around 431 BC, we thought it would be really cool to make a bounty system that then helps you police yourself in the game. So in this one, you can go out and kill innocents, but you will be punished for it. The more reprehensible actions you do, the more notoriety you develop, and the more people who come after you and try to take you down. But the higher up they get, the cooler their loot is. So.
Of course.
So it's not a new. Is it a new engine? No, it's the engine from the last game, right?
I don't know that for sure. Wrong person to ask.
Okay. But
I guess so.
how many % do you have to recreate from scratch in development, and how much can you gain from experiences you've had before, from games you've made before?
You're talking from a developer standpoint?
Yes, a bit. I mean, it's.
Or do you mean from like a player standpoint?
No. I mean a developer.
From a developer standpoint. Well, because our productions with Origins were overlapping a little bit, we knew that we were going to take the next step after them. So there are things that we've taken from Origins and built upon. So there are similarities from past games, which made a lot of sense for us because to create everything from scratch every time is a lot of time.
Why should you?
Right?
Yeah, it's exhausting.
And so it's very helpful for us to be able to build upon it, especially because we knew that this was the next step. So it made a lot of sense. I mean, if we were doing something like absolutely completely different, you'd go a different route.
So what's happening here right now? It's why are these statues?
So basically, this is the game. This is footage from the Gamescom demo, and the story that you're following is you depending on if you play Alexios or Cassandra, you meet someone named Threes, and she is looking for her lost lover. So as you go through the demo, you start to hear rumors of this beast. I don't know if you want me to spoil it as it's coming up, but
tell us.
Okay.
Ah, come on. No spoilers, please. Spoiler mon.
I want to hear it, but she's never gonna tell you.
I will play it, so.
You should.
But what else is new? I mean, it's not that easy to bring a series every year and make or doing new things.
Surprise.
Okay. Creepy.
Do you have any kind of God of War reference?
Well, for us, mythology was a huge part. I don't think you can do ancient Greece without looking at how mythology taps in. So mythology is very prominent culturally because they see it as an explanation for why the world exists. But with our connection with the first Civ, I think it would be amiss to not include some of our own takes on it as well. So this is, out of context, may seem really strange, but this is a really late game boss fight with Medusa. The lover that you've been looking for is, surprise, Medusa. It's a very challenging fight, but the best way to take her down is to build up your adrenaline, which is the yellow bar at the bottom, by killing off her minions, and then using the adrenaline to use abilities to take her out.
What about the combat system? Is it similar to Assassin's Creed Origins, or are there some new things?
What we have now is a mappable fight system. So if you're somebody who wants to play like a true assassin and put all of their ability points in stealth, you can do that. If you're somebody who wants to go like in guns blazing, said figuratively, and be a more warrior style, you can do that. If you want to be a hybrid of warrior, assassin, and ranger, you can do that as well. We found that a lot of people play Assassin's Creed differently, and so this is allowing you to cater to your fight style.
So how do you mix up the weapons? I've heard you got spear.
Yes, you carry the blade of Leonidas.
Oh, it's a blade?
Well, it's a spear. It's a broken spear.
Oh, okay.
But there's a blade on the spear.
So it's a multi-tool.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I get it. It's also a butter knife and...
You could use it to shave,
cut cheese, stuff like that. I guess a lot of you developers love Dark Souls and everything like that. Games that expand on the fights, but you have to create a game for the mainstream. So how do you keep it playable for a regular normal player, which should be the regular Assassin's Creed player, and not for the hardcore crowd, you know?
Well, this is where I think the mappable fight abilities really come in handy, because you can really cater to your playstyle, but there is an ability to reset. So if you've decided that like the way you've chosen to play doesn't fit your style, that you can reset it and reassign the points as you like.
That's an easier approach to make it easier for amateurs.
You, like so if we have people who've come in from playing the franchise for the last decade, that they can play the way they want. But if you have somebody new who wants to take a new approach, you can cater it towards you.
So I haven't seen that much climbing and parkour as in other titles right now. So what about that?
You can still climb.
Yeah, but why didn't you focus more on that? Did you lose your focus on climbing?
Did we lose our focus on climbing?
I don't know. I'm asking.
I think that when there's a couple answers to this. That yes, parkour is very much still a thing. I can't really spoil all of the things that you can climb in the game, but you've maybe seen in previous demos that we have some larger-than-life statues. We've still built rooftops to be able to parkour across them, but you know we aren't in a time like in Unity or
it just doesn't fit.
where everything is super tall. So we have worked really hard to make sure that there's a wide variety of ranges so that parkour can still be fun and challenging, and we make sure that the setups are still there for parkour fans.
Talking of challenging, that seems like really a long, challenging fight. I mean, we're watching that for 5 minutes.
Exactly. I said this is very late game. Yeah. She's a really tough boss to beat.
Of course. She's a woman. A snake woman. That's all I...
She does have snakes on her head.
That's the definition of Medusa.
Of course.
It's a snake woman.
That's not what I meant. Hey, don't put words in my mouth, please. So, okay, let's elaborate. What can you tell us? What are you allowed to tell us that you haven't told us yet?
About this?
No, about the whole game.
Yeah.
Like secrets, stuff you aren't supposed to tell us.
Well, I can do a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and say that, you know, we are seeing a Medusa on screen now. We do have the Loris connection to the first Civ. How this actually all works out is something that you're going to have to play, but maybe it'll get the gears moving, something to think about.
Not mine, but he played all the other games, he might get it.
No, not every game, but Origins are already played.
And so, you know, we were excited to show this because people have been really asking us a lot of questions about how Mythology fits in, because we're so far back in time, and how it works because we are a sci-fi brand. So it is fairly exciting for us to be able to show glimpses of it.
Yeah, but talking about the story, I mean, Assassin's Creed Origins told us something about the origins of Assassin's Creed, and there was an explanation about the logo. So how does it make sense, nevertheless, that this game is 1,000 years before?
400 years.
400 years. That we can see the symbol of Assassin's Creed in Odyssey.
So what really inspired me when we were first developing the story was, what is the conflict between the Assassins and the Templars? What are those ideologies? We have freedom versus order, and how do those end up creating things that we know today in the brand, like the Assassins and the Templars? And so it was really important for me and our team to make sure that we were exploring those ideologies and how that builds the foundation of what we know as the lore today. So whereas we are too early to look at things like the Brotherhood and the Creed, for us it was really important to say, like, how did any of it come about? How did these ideologies form? How is the first Civ involved this early on? That kind of stuff.
How hard is it to connect all those stories? I mean, the Assassin's Creed canon is one big canon. Yeah, right, and I guess it's really difficult to connect everything.
It can be, because you can sometimes lose track of what, because some creators have said, like, oh, this character that doesn't even have a game is this affiliation. So, you know, you're doing a game, you pick a period of time, you're making a game about it, and you're like, oh yeah, this person also exists. We should probably look into that. We do a lot of research to make sure that the lore is kept in mind, so we're not stepping on our own toes. And also, it should be said that the fans are extremely helpful at making sure that everything is documented as well.
Well, I'm out of questions, actually.
Yeah, I mean, maybe let's look into the future of Assassin's Creed. It's really interesting.
I mean, are you allowed to talk about future installment? No, that's what I thought. You're never allowed to talk about anything.
I would love to, but I can't.
Yeah, but in what way is Odyssey now, and in what way is or are Assassin's Creed games connected in the future? I mean, did you ever thought it would be so nice to start a new canon, to don't have to connect all the series and all the games?
Like a restart, like a reboot?
Right.
Would you like to reboot Assassin's Creed one day?
Well, I can't talk about what the brand is going to do.
I told you, Sandro, I told you.
I thought.
Ask whatever you want.
But our team was really excited to know that Origins wanted to, you know, push certain RPG elements even further to allow us to really expand on that. So in that respect, to us, it was a huge change and a very exciting one. Cool. And so whatever happens in the future, like, I'm down.
One more question. The franchise itself would fit for Netflix or whatever. I mean, you have so many characters, so many great storylines, settings. You could do it like every game, one season. Have you? No, of course you can't talk about that. Have you seen anyone with a Netflix badge, name badge in your company running around?
No.
That's a question you could answer.
But that would be very exciting if I did see somebody.
I think so.
We had a film.
Yeah, no,
Sorry.
let's not talk about that. I'm sure you're not allowed to talk about that either, right?
I mean,
you didn't do it.
It wasn't your fault.
Yeah, I work in games, so I kind of get relegated to the games section of it. But if there's something else going on out there, that's also very exciting for us.
So how hard is it to create characters that carry the story forward and make do exposition and everything, but also like make the gamer care on some level, who has seen so many characters, so many cutscenes, so many people die, NPCs, whatever, he doesn't care anymore. How do you do that?
Well, what's really exciting for us is now that we have the conversation system, that we are able to put a lot more of the exposition and the character building in that conversation system instead of relying on cutscenes to do everything. Because in the past, we've seen cutscenes push the story forward, introduce characters, tell you what you're going to do in your next mission, probably tutorialize something, and the list goes on, right? And so now we can use cutscenes to really enhance the storytelling and really let the story breathe and connect with players. And so I think in that respect, it's better for the relationship between the player and the game, because we're really hoping the cohesion between the two will be better this way.
You have a lot of multiple choice dialogues, right, with different mood settings, if you may say so. How do you avoid being a little bit too black and white? Like many games, you just have 2 or 3 options, let's say. How do you avoid being that cliche?
Well, we didn't want it to be black and white. We wanted the players to really look at the choices that they were going to make, because you can make choices that impact characters, you can make choices that impact story, you can make choices that impact the world, right? So we want you to really think about what you're doing. And when we were developing the different ways that you could roleplay with somebody, we made sure that it wasn't a yes or no situation. It is a how are you going to deal with this? So there are a lot of different ways to roleplay with people. So it's not just like you're angry or you're happy. It's more like, do you want to play more as... It depends on the context, but there are different examples, such as like you're playing a mercenary. So are you somebody who's out for money? Are you going to push this person for money? Or are you going to be altruistic and you're going to let people slide in and not pay you for what happens? But it depends on the context. Maybe later you would have something that is more like you're very emotionally driven, or you're going to take a more logical approach. So it depends on what story you're playing, what quest you're in, what part of the world you're in even, and who you're talking to.
Quite some work. I'm satisfied with a good answer. I think it hasn't been done that many times pretty good. I mean, The Witcher does it great. Some games do it well. When I make a choice, I want to know that every choice is bad for someone, maybe.
Right.
And as you just said, it depends on the angle.
And when we were developing romance, choice-based romance was really new for us, but we wanted it to not be a system where you're just you're spamming a heart and then somebody will fall in love with me, or I'm just giving you things and then you'll fall in love with me.
Like a Japanese dating sim. Or
and the same goes with friendships. It's like it depends on how you speak to the characters and how those characters want to be spoken to, because we based all of these RPG systems based on like who it is you're talking to and how it is they're going to react in the world. And sometimes it's not obvious, and sometimes it is. Sometimes it has short-term consequences, and sometimes it's a consequence you never see coming, and sometimes it's a consequence that happens much further down the line.
Maybe one last question. Unfortunately, the time is over then. But for me, one of the biggest things in gaming is virtual reality. And wouldn't it be great to have a VR experience for Assassin's Creed? I mean, in Assassin's Creed Origins, in Assassin's Creed Origins, we had an exploration mode, something like where you could go to through Egypt. It would be great in virtual reality. Are there any plans?
I cannot talk about post-launch content at this time. But if it were to be a true Assassin's Creed virtual reality experience, it would probably hurt.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe. I hope so.
You hope so?
Yeah, he hopes to get hurt.
Yeah,
it's a true
I'm hoping for a VR experience in Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, I would like
without
I really would like the time travel aspect of it, you know, like being there and then the time travels back and you are at a marketplace.
Or explore Egypt or Greece. Or
I mean, I'm pretty sure it will come someday. I mean, you got everything. You just have to place an automatic camera in the virtual world somewhere and the game is done. So it's not that hard.
You make it sound so easy.
Yeah, I mean, all the people are already walking around and doing their stuff. You made the game. They do it. I've looked at them. They just do their stuff. Put a virtual camera in there.
It might be a little bit more complicated.
Give me money. I do
so
that
easy.
Shit. 5 months.
It's not that
15 months. And $2 million.
I'm not buying this, you know? You're
million.
not doing a great job of selling yourself.
Shit. That's why I work here. Well,
unfortunately, the time's
we're
over.
done.
But thank you for being here. It was
Thank you for having me.
And I wish you all the best with Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Awesome. I hope you guys pick it up on October 5th.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, we will. You give us a key, right?
But only if there's a VR experience.
Okay.
So, das war's mit Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Eine halbe Stunde vergeht schnell, würde ich sagen.
Schönes Material, was wir gesehen haben.
Voll, ey. Ich hab mega Bock drauf. Ich hoffe, ihr seid auch gespannt drauf. Weiter geht's mit Soul Calibur 6, mit Gregor und Döler tatsächlich, denn Gerald ist ja in Soul Calibur 6 irgendwie auch dabei.
Dann hat der Döler den auch wieder angeschleppt.
Ja, natürlich. Ich weiß nicht, den Buddy-Kopf hat er wieder mitgebracht. Wir
wollten ihn ja gießen lassen. Er konnte nichts dafür, es wurde uns zu teuer. Wir haben uns dann entschlossen, den silbernen Buddy-Kopf doch nicht zu machen. Es ist wirklich eine reine Geld. Ihr hättet den nicht gekauft für 150 €.
Weiß ich nicht.
Na, der eine, okay, einer. Der Herr mit der Perücke hätte ihn sofort gekauft.
Alles klar, gut. So, thank you. Danke Simon, danke fürs Zuschauen, bleibt dran und dann geht's weiter mit Soul Calibur 6. Bis gleich.